The Unwritten Chadian language of Karf, a linguistic enigma introduction. In the vast and diverse landscape of African languages, some linguistic treasures remain hidden, undocumented, and unwritten. Among these is the enigmatic language of Karf, spoken by a small community in Chad. Despite its obscurity, Karf holds immense cultural and historical significance for its speakers, offering a window into the unique worldview and traditions of this marginalized group. This article delves into the origins, structure, cultural context, and challenges faced by the Karf language, shedding light on why it has remained unwritten for so long and exploring efforts to preserve and document it. The importance of studying unwritten languages like Karf cannot be overstated. Such languages are repositories of indigenous knowledge, oral traditions, and cultural heritage that risk being lost forever if not documented and preserved. As globalization accelerates and dominant languages overshadow smaller ones, the preservation of linguistic diversity becomes a pressing concern. By examining the case of Karf, we can better understand the broader implications of language endangerment and the urgent need for linguistic documentation. This article aims to provide a comprehensive overview of the Karf language, drawing on available research, fieldwork findings, and interviews with native speakers. While much remains unknown about Karf due to its unwritten status, this exploration seeks to piece together what is currently understood and highlight areas where further study is needed. Through this investigation, we hope to raise awareness about the plight of unwritten languages and inspire action toward their preservation. Origins and historical context of the Karf language. The Karf language, though predominantly oral, carries within its lexicon and phonology traces of an intricate history deeply intertwined with the broader Chedian linguistic landscape. Linguists have tentatively classified Karf as belonging to the Nilo-Saharan language family, specifically within the Central Sudanic branch. This classification places it alongside other lesser-known languages such as Ngombe, Sera, and Mounding, all of which share certain structural and lexical features. However, the precise relationship between Karf and its linguistic relatives remains a subject of ongoing scholarly debate, primarily due to the limited documentation available. The origins of the Karf-speaking people can be traced back to ancient migratory patterns that shaped the demographic composition of southern Chad. Archaeological evidence suggests that the region has been inhabited for at least 2,000 years, with various ethnic groups establishing themselves through complex interactions of trade, warfare, and intermarriage. The Karf community likely emerged from these historical processes, developing their distinct linguistic identity while maintaining contact with neighboring groups. This contact has resulted in noticeable influences from surrounding languages, particularly in vocabulary related to agriculture, livestock, and social organization. Historically, the Karf-speaking population has maintained a semi-nomadic lifestyle, practicing both pastoralism and subsistence farming. Their traditional territory, located in the transitional zone between the Sahel and the Savannah, has influenced both their language and culture. Environmental terms in Karf reflect a deep understanding of local ecosystems, with specialized vocabulary for different types of soil, vegetation, and weather patterns. This environmental knowledge is encoded in the language's rich system of classifiers and descriptive compounds. The oral tradition of Karf has played a crucial role in preserving historical memory and cultural identity. Elders in Karf communities serve as living repositories of collective wisdom, passing down stories, genealogies, and customary laws through generations. These narratives often contain archaic forms and expressions that provide valuable insights into the language's historical development. For instance, certain ritual formulas and ceremonial speeches retain linguistic features that appear to be remnants of earlier stages of the language. During the colonial period, the Karf language, like many other indigenous tongues in Chad, faced pressure from French colonial administrators who sought to impose a standardized form of communication. However, the relative isolation of Karf-speaking communities helped preserve their linguistic autonomy. Post-independence, the introduction of national languages such as Arabic and French created new challenges, but also opportunities for cross-cultural exchange. Modern Karf incorporates loanwords from these dominant languages, particularly in domains like technology, education, and government administration. Despite these external influences, the core structure and vocabulary of Karf have remained remarkably stable. Efforts toward preservation and documentation of Karf. Despite the myriad challenges facing Karf language preservation, several promising initiatives have emerged in recent years, demonstrating innovative approaches to documenting and revitalizing this endangered tongue. The Chad National Institute of Languages and Cultures (CNILC) launched a pioneering project in 2018, focused specifically on unwritten languages, allocating dedicated resources to Karf documentation. This initiative combines traditional fieldwork methods with cutting-edge digital technologies, employing mobile recording units equipped with solar-powered devices to overcome infrastructure limitation. As in remote areas, community-based documentation represents one of the most successful strategies implemented thus far. Local language champions, and typically respected elders and young community members receive training in basic linguistic documentation techniques, including audio recording, transcription, and metadata collection. These individuals serve as bridges between academic researchers and the Karf-speaking population, ensuring that documentation efforts align with community priorities and cultural sensitivities. Notably, the project has developed a participatory approach where community members actively contribute to decision-making processes regarding what aspects of the language should be prioritized for documentation. Digital archiving has emerged as a crucial component of preservation efforts. The Karf Digital Repository, established in collaboration with international linguistic organizations, provides a secure platform for storing and accessing recorded materials. This archive employs advanced metadata tagging systems that allow users to search recordings by speaker, location, genre, and linguistic feature. Crucially, the repository includes multiple access levels, ensuring that culturally sensitive materials remain protected while still being available for research purposes when appropriate permissions are granted. Collaborative research partnerships have yielded significant advances in understanding Karf's linguistic structure. Teams of international linguists work alongside trained community members to develop systematic documentation protocols, focusing on areas such as verb morphology, noun class systems, and discourse patterns. These collaborations have resulted in the creation of detailed grammatical sketches and preliminary dictionaries, providing foundational resources for future linguistic analysis. The use of Elan software for annotating audiovisual materials has proven particularly effective in capturing the language's complex tonal and prosodic features. Educational initiatives represent another vital front in Karf preservation efforts. Mobile language labs have been established in several Karf-speaking villages, equipped with tablets loaded with interactive learning modules. These modules focus on teaching younger generations traditional stories, proverbs, and ritual language through engaging multimedia presentations. The program also incorporates elements of gamification, encouraging children to practice Karf through structured play activities that reinforce vocabulary and grammatical patterns. A notable breakthrough came with the development of a provisional writing system based on modified Latin script, created through extensive consultation with community members. This system, while not officially adopted, serves as a practical tool for documentation purposes and has facilitated the creation of written materials for educational programs. The writing system's design carefully considers Karf's tonal distinctions and vowel harmony patterns, using diacritical marks to represent crucial phonological features. Audiovisual documentation has taken center stage in recent preservation efforts, recognizing the importance of capturing not just spoken language but also associated gestures, facial expressions, and contextual information. High-definition video recording of traditional ceremonies, storytelling sessions, and daily interactions provides invaluable data for linguistic and cultural analysis. These recordings are carefully curated and stored in climate-controlled facilities to ensure their long-term preservation. The establishment of a Karf language documentation center in the regional capital has created a focal point for preservation activities. This center houses recording equipment, archival storage facilities, and workspace for researchers and community members. Regular workshops and training sessions held at the center help build capacity among local participants while fostering a sense of ownership and pride in the language documentation process. The center also serves as a venue for cultural events and language revitalization activities, helping to integrate documentation efforts with broader community development initiatives. Conclusion: the imperative of preserving Karf and similar unwritten language is the case of the Karf. Language underscores the critical importance of documenting and preserving unwritten languages in our rapidly globalizing world. As demonstrated throughout this exploration, Karf represents far more than a mere means of communication. It embodies centuries of accumulated cultural knowledge, ecological wisdom, and social organization that would be irretrievably lost without concerted preservation efforts. The language's rich oral traditions, sophisticated linguistic structures, and intimate connection to local environmental knowledge make it an invaluable resource for understanding human cognition, cultural evolution, and linguistic diversity. The preservation of Karf is not merely an academic exercise, but a matter of cultural survival and human rights. Each unwritten language like Karf constitutes a unique lens through which its speakers interpret and interact with the world, offering alternative ways of thinking and problem-solving that can enrich humanity's collective intellectual heritage. The loss of such languages represents not just the disappearance of words and grammar but the erosion of entire worldviews and philosophical systems that have evolved over millennia to address fundamental human concerns. Looking ahead, the future of Karf and similar unwritten languages depends on the implementation of sustainable, community-driven preservation strategies that balance scientific documentation with cultural sensitivity. Emerging technologies, particularly in digital archiving and mobile documentation, offer promising tools for overcoming traditional barriers to language preservation. However, these technical solutions must be complemented by robust social initiatives that foster intergenerational transmission and promote the active use of the language in daily life. The implications of Karfest preservation extend beyond this specific language community to inform broader approaches to linguistic conservation worldwide. Successful strategies developed for Karf documentation can serve as models for addressing the challenges faced by other endangered and written languages. Moreover, the Karf case highlights the urgent need for increased funding and institutional support for language preservation initiatives, particularly in regions where linguistic diversity remains severely underdocumented. Ultimately, the preservation of Karf represents a crucial step in maintaining global linguistic diversity, a diversity that is essential for humanity's resilience and adaptability in the face of future challenges. By investing in the documentation and revitalization of unwritten languages like Karf, we not only honor the cultural heritage of marginalized communities but also enrich our collective understanding of what it means to be human. The Non-Bantu Languages of Northeastern Africa 1966 offers detailed comparative studies of Central Sudanic languages. More recent publications, such as de Mendal's Historical Linguistics and the Comparative Study of African Languages, 2011, provide updated perspectives on language classification and historical relationships, fieldwork. Reports and unpublished theses from graduate students working in the region offer valuable first-hand accounts of Karf language documentation efforts. The University of Leipzig's Department of African Studies maintains an online repository of such materials, including detailed phonological analyses and grammatical sketches. Additionally, the Endangered Languages Documentation Program, the LDP, has funded several projects focused on Karf and neighboring languages, with resulting materials available through their digital archive. For those interested in the cultural and anthropological aspects of Karf-speaking communities, the Chad Cultural Heritage Organization publishes regular reports on traditional practices and oral literature. Their quarterly journal Patrimoine Chadian often features articles on Karf oral traditions and cultural preservation efforts. The Ethnologue database entry for Karf provides up-to-date information on speaker numbers, geographic distribution, and language vitality metrics. Specialized linguistic journals such as Journal of African Languages and Linguistics and Africana Linguistica occasionally publish articles on Karf and related languages, particularly focusing on aspects of tone systems, noun class structures, and discourse patterns. Conference proceedings from events like the International Congress of African Linguistics also contain valuable contributions from researchers working in the field, local archives in southern Chad, particularly those maintained by regional cultural centers, house collections of audio recordings, and handwritten notes from early documentation attempts. While access to these materials may be restricted, researchers can often arrange viewings through formal agreements with local authorities. The Karf digital repository mentioned earlier represents the most comprehensive collection of digitized Karf language materials available to date, though access may require special permission from community representatives.